The silent strength, breaking the chains of expectation in faith communities. Have you ever smiled so hard your face hurt? Not from joy, but from the sheer effort of maintaining an image that was slowly crushing you from the inside? That perfect Sunday smile that masks a Monday through Saturday reality of isolation, anxiety, and silent desperation. I recently had the profound opportunity to interview Isha Miller, a revolutionary advocate for Black women in ministry who's transforming how we approach mental health in faith spaces. Her work isn't just important, it's saving lives. Through her courageous truth telling and community building, Isha has created pathways to healing for women who've been suffering in plain sight for generations. Her insights were nothing short of transformative, peeling back layers of religious expectation to reveal the raw humanity beneath. We've all heard the phrase, behind every great man is a great woman. But what happens when that woman is expected to be great, supportive, and spiritually unshakable, all while being essentially invisible? What happens when her own cup is empty, yet she's expected to keep pouring? The truth is, in many churches across America, pastors' wives, especially Black women, are living in a peculiar kind of purgatory. They stand in the spotlight every Sunday, perfectly coiffed, appropriately modest, smiling that practiced smile. They're visible and yet completely unseen. They're heard singing in the choir, but rarely listened to when speaking their truth. As Isha Miller so eloquently articulated in our conversation, these women often endure what can only be described as silent suffering. They're expected to be spiritual giants, counselors, event planners, children's ministry directors, and the pastor's personal cheerleader, all while maintaining their own homes, raising children, and often working full time jobs. And heaven forbid they should ever admit they're struggling. Let me tell you about a woman I'll call Sarah, a pastor's wife from a large urban church who shared her story with Aisha. For years, Sarah found herself constantly in demand for church related tasks, organizing potlucks, counseling young women, hosting Bible studies in her home. Yet no one, not even her husband, ever asked about her well being. She became what she called a pipeline to the pastor, a convenient channel through which church members could access her husband's attention. The irony wasn't lost on her. In a community built on the principle of bearing one another's burdens, she had no one to help carry hers. The woman who listened to everyone had no one who truly listened to her. Years of this invisible service led to burnout and crippling anxiety. She began having panic attacks before Sunday services. The woman who was supposed to be a model of Christian joy was secretly falling apart, praying in bathroom stalls between church services just to make it through the day. What's most heartbreaking about Sarah's story isn't just her suffering, it's how common it is. According to Isha Miller's research, this experience is painfully universal among pastors' wives, particularly in Black churches where the tradition of the First Lady carries even more weight and expectation. These women are often caught in a double bind. They're expected to be strong pillars of the community while simultaneously being gentle, submissive helpmates to their husbands. It's like being asked to be both steel and silk at the same time without the support needed for either role. As one woman put it, I'm expected to be bulletproof and transparent simultaneously, an impossible contradiction. And when these women do reach their breaking point, when they finally admit they need help, that's when they often face the most painful rejection of all. In many faith communities, seeking mental health support is still stigmatized. It's seen as a lack of faith, a spiritual failure. Just pray more, they're told. Trust God more, as if depression is a character flaw rather than a medical condition, as if anxiety can be cured by better Bible study. I'm not mocking faith here, far from it. Faith can be a powerful force for healing. But as Isha Miller pointed out in our interview, sometimes God provides healing through therapists, through medication, through support groups. Sometimes the miracle is having the courage to ask for help. Sarah's story doesn't end with burnout. After years of suffering in silence, she finally confessed her struggles, first to a trusted friend, then to a therapist. Despite the stigma, despite her fear of judgment, she reached out. And that act of courage changed everything. Through therapy, she gained clarity and validation. She learned to set boundaries, yes, even with church members, even with her husband. She began advocating for her own needs, recognizing that she couldn't pour from an empty cup. Today, Sarah has become a vocal advocate for pastors' wives' mental health. She speaks publicly about her journey, encouraging other ministry wives to break their silence. Her openness has inspired others to seek support and has even prompted her church to address the emotional needs of its leaders' families. But individual courage, while essential, isn't enough. We need systemic change. This brings me to the second crucial insight from my conversation with Isha Miller. It's not enough to simply place Black women in leadership or visible roles within faith communities. There must be intentional efforts to provide mentorship, mental health care, and tangible resources that honor their full humanity and well being. Organizations like the Rise Together, Mentorship Network, and Women Preach Inc. are leading this charge. These networks were created specifically to provide Black women in ministry with holistic support, including mentorship and mental health resources. These initiatives arose from a simple but profound recognition. Placing Black women in leadership without support is setting them up for failure. It's like asking someone to climb a mountain without equipment, training, or oxygen, and then blaming them when they struggle to reach the summit. Through these networks, Black women in ministry find mentorship, sacred spaces for honest dialogue, and access to mental health care. Participants report greater well being, stronger leadership, and perhaps most importantly, a sense of belonging and partnership. The broader church community is beginning to recognize the importance of investing in the well being and leadership of Black women, not just their visibility. It's a start, but we have so much further to go. In the digital age, women are finding new ways to support each other when traditional institutions fall short. Pastors' Wives Tell All is a social media platform where pastors' wives, including many Black women, share their struggles with faith, mental health, and feeling misunderstood by their churches and communities. Many contributors describe being hurt by the church, dealing with mental health issues in silence, and feeling pressure to maintain appearances. The platform provides a safe, anonymous space for sharing stories, validation, and peer support. One woman wrote, "For 20 years, I've been smiling through sermons while battling depression. Today, I finally told my husband I need help. Your stories gave me courage." Another shared, "I thought I was the only one who cried in the church bathroom. Finding this community saved my life, literally." It's become a vibrant community, sparking conversations about mental health and support in faith spaces. The initiative is helping to destigmatize mental health challenges and encourage church leaders to create more supportive environments. This brings me to the third and perhaps most powerful insight from my interview with Isha Miller. Breaking the stigma and and seeking help is a courageous act. Acknowledging pain, asking for help, and pursuing therapy or support, even when frowned upon by faith communities, is not a sign of weakness, but of strength and self-respect. Healing is possible, but it requires breaking the silence and challenging harmful norms. Let me be clear. There is nothing spiritual about suffering in silence. There is nothing godly about pretending you're fine when you're falling apart. And there is certainly nothing faithful about perpetuating systems that crush the spirits of those who serve. As Isha Miller so powerfully stated, your mental health matters to God because you matter to God. Full stop. So, what do we do with these insights? How do we move from awareness to action? If you're a pastor's wife, especially a Black woman in this role, I want you to hear this. Your struggles are real, your pain matters, and you deserve support. You are not alone, though I know it often feels that way. There are others walking this path, and there are resources available to you. Your worth is not measured by your service, your smile, or your silence in the face of suffering. If you're a church leader, I challenge you to look around your congregation. Who are the women holding everything together? Who are the silent servants? And what are you doing to support their mental, emotional, and spiritual well being? It's not enough to praise their service from the pulpit. Create systems of support, provide access to mental health resources, normalize therapy, make space for honest conversations about the challenges of ministry life. And if you're a church member, remember that your pastor's wife is a human being with needs, dreams, and struggles of her own. She is not an extension of her husband. She is not a free resource for the church. She is a woman worthy of care and consideration. Ask how she's really doing and be prepared to listen without judgment. Respect her boundaries. Recognize that her primary calling may not be to serve you or your church, but to follow her own spiritual path. The stories I've shared today aren't just anecdotes, they represent thousands of women across our nation who are suffering behind perfect smiles. Women who have been told that their pain is less important than their performance. Women who have been convinced that their mental health is a spiritual failing rather than a medical reality. This ends now. This ends with us. I stand before you today calling for nothing less than a revolution in how we treat the women who serve our faith communities. Not with platitudes, not with pedestals, but with genuine care, resources, and respect for their full humanity. Because when we liberate these women from the chains of impossible expectations, we don't just save them, we transform our entire faith communities. We create spaces where authenticity trumps appearance, where mental health is as important as spiritual health, and where true strength is measured not by how much you can endure in silence, but by how honestly you can speak your truth. The time for silent suffering is over. The time for healing, for speaking, for revolutionary care has come. Will you join us?